Good afternoon. We've reached our appointed hour. I'll call the February 24th meeting of the Oklahoma City Riverfront Redevelopment Authority to order. The first item is items from the chairman. Do we have any update on the committee activities? Update on the river subcommittee? Brian, anything? I know we're meeting today.
We will have a meeting today and we'll hear more. Most of it's been about the canoe kayaking, the river course, and so we'll have updates today.
Okay. Item 3 is the minutes from the January 27th meeting. I'll entertain a motion.
Second.
Any additions or corrections? Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item 4 is the consent docket. We have the sand mining and oil and gas revenue report and the Oklahoma River corridor events report. Do we have any questions on either one of those?
Move approval of both items.
Second.
Cast your vote, and it passes unanimously. Item 5 is the primary agenda items. The first item is to receive the unaudited interim financial statements for the period ending December 31 of 2014. On your desk in front of you, you'll find a page 14 to that audit. It was just omitted at the printer. It was correct on the online version, so there's no action needed on putting that in. It just add it to your audit there. I'll take a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions? Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item B is to adopt the resolution accepting the annual inventory of Oklahoma River rowing and canoe kayak race course as submitted by the Boathouse Foundation. Once a year they're required to submit to us an inventory, and you'll find that in your packet. Do you have any questions on it?
Mr. Chairman, I have a quick question. It's not really, I'm not accusing anybody of anything. Do we have anybody who actually goes out there and looks to see what they have? So that we know everything they say down on the list they have?
I see Mike Knopp came in. Mike, would you come up and explain how that inventory is prepared and how it's accounted for?
Sure. Well, I have a director of operations, John Riggs, who does keep he's responsible for maintaining it and keeping the inventory. Much of the equipment is being moved to the new MAPS 3 storage complex, which is on the south bank of the river, and so we go through every year. As you can imagine, there's thousands of buoys and cables, and so we, for us to put on the events like we do have to kind of continue ourselves, keep an inventory, and if there's in the past we've had situations where perhaps a flood event, did something to the course, like took a cable and tangled it or broke a cable, and the foundation has replaced those things. And so, so for us to do what we do with our events, we have to keep the course up, and we do a regular inventory on our part. The city, I don't think, John and David Birch may have personal experience in this regard. I know you work with John on that inventory issue. I don't know that there's been a visual inspection recently. Yeah. So.
Was that your question, Pat? Who from the city would verify that inventory?
Or there's no official action to verify the inventory. That's what I got. It's fine, Mike.
Yeah.
Like I say, I don't mistrust anybody, but it seems like when you say inventory, my ears bristle up. We got to check.
I might clarify. We did physically inventory the first year that we had the agreement, and we have the right, we being the city and the Riverfront Authority, at any time to go in and do a physical inventory if we have any question or doubt that the physical inventory is not as it should be. But as a practical matter, we can see it when they do a race event because it has deployed, and if they came up missing significant numbers of buoys or didn't have all the lanes in place, it would become self-evident that the equipment was not there.
But do we do any official counting, actual counting or inspections to make sure it's all there?
We have not since the early days of this agreement, but it is our right. If we notice there's an issue, we always can go out and do that, and that is our right that we reserve under the lease.
Any other questions? Did I get a motion? I need a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion and a second. Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. Item C is to receive a presentation on the proposed Wheeler District development south of the Oklahoma River near Western Avenue.
Hi.
How
Chairman
are you,
Mars.
Mr. Humphries?
Hi, Blair Humphreys, 1222 Northwest 20th Street. Chairman, trustees, thank you for having us here today. We're excited to tell you about how things continue to progress with the Wheeler District and progress with this portion of the river where Western Avenue and the river come together in an intersection. We're starting on the old downtown Interpark site, and you can see our holdings there have overlaid the improvements coming with MAPS 3 as we continue to look forward to this exciting vision that's been laid out for the city. And here's our plan as we currently see it as to how it'll progress. You know, this really goes back to 2002. It's worth a mention with the plan that you put together and the vision that you seeded. And as we've gotten used to in Oklahoma City, when vision's seeded, it leads to big things in the future. And I think the vision that was put forth in 2002 has certainly helped guide us. As you can see, it was called out in that plan that this Western Gateway would be a mixed-use neighborhood, a vibrant center for residential and retail. It would do a number of things, goals and guiding principles, and these principles have been something that we've been able to look to help guide us in our decision-making. We had a public charrette last summer. We had over 300 people turn out at Grill on the Hill on Southwest 25th Street and Capitol Hill, and it was a wonderful event. And we worked throughout the week, worked with the community, and worked with a team of professionals to come up with the Wheeler District plan. Many of you have already seen the plan, but just go through a couple things that I think are important. One of the goals and guiding principles is to maintain a sense of the air park history. You can see how we've done that in retaining the old air park runway. It'll become a new tree-lined avenue. We've also retained the 2 historic buildings that are still on site, the hangar and the terminal building. Maximizing the views of downtown. All of the streets east of Western will eventually radiate on axials that will point towards that downtown view. Creating plazas and pocket parks. Our plan certainly calls for that. We have a range of public spaces, some of which are right on the riverfront. We'll actually create recreation and activity on the riverfront itself, and others are back in the neighborhood providing different functions such as playgrounds and places for retail and dining. Enhanced street connectivity and walkability. We were particularly focused on this, taking the recommendation of the plan, and we envision having 15th Street come through, providing new access there, as well as connecting into the surrounding neighborhoods and ensuring that any good thing that happens in Wheeler ultimately spills over into economic development activity in the neighborhoods that surround it, including Capitol Hill. We're focused on walkability. We're focused on biking. We're focused on taking a great neighborhood development that has a mixture of uses and apartments and retail and connecting it to the riverfront and something that's going to provide a unique riverfront option and a really vibrant experience, a vibrant place within Oklahoma City. One of the projects we're getting kicked off first is looking at how do we get this Ferris wheel. You might recall that my brother purchased a Ferris wheel on eBay back in 2008. I'm one of the few people, my urban design and planning consultant told me I'm the first client that's ever had a brother purchase a Ferris wheel on eBay, which I think makes us exceptional. And so we are working on using that to really deliver on developing this premier riverfront development. The Ferris wheel will be one of the first things you'll see go in the ground. That's the purpose of this permit application. And then we will continue. You'll continue to see a neighborhood grow up over the next coming years, 5, 10, up to 15 years as we follow through in the multiple phases of our development plan. So that's what we're going for. We appreciate the vision that you've laid out on the front end. We appreciate your continued guidance and input and support and look forward to working with you in the years to come. So thank you.
Blair, could you go back a couple of slides there showing the plaza? There you go. I assume the revocable is needed because the Ferris wheel and that part of that plaza will be on city land?
That's right. As we look at the, our property comes to approximately 150, 160 feet from the water, and the rest of that is city-owned land that's controlled by the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority. And as we looked for the best place to put that Ferris wheel and took into account a number of utility issues and other things, this is the location that we've ended up with, and we think it's a great location. It's going to provide a gateway as you come across the Western Avenue Bridge, as well as providing a number of great viewing options for other streets. But it is on city land, and so that's the purpose of the application. We expect to do a number of other complementary programmatic activities around the wheel as well.
question.
Any questions on the project itself?
Blair, is the permit intended to be, excuse me, go on forever?
It would be our hope that in the months and years to come, we could find a solution that perhaps makes more sense on a permanent basis for all parties involved. But as we looked at the timing and looked at the complexity of everything involved, working with the great staff that you have and Mr. Downs and others, decided that the permit was the best solution for now.
What happens if the city, for whatever reason, decides to revoke the permit? What do you do with Ferris wheel?
Yeah, I guess the revocable potential is right there in the name, isn't it? We'll spend a considerable amount of money erecting the Ferris wheel and putting in the improvements that will surround it. It's a risk-reward thing for us, and ultimately, we believe that the risk is limited enough that it's worth the opportunity to go ahead and get the wheel up, get it spinning, get it lit, and give people an opportunity to experience it. We hope we don't run into that. We know it's a risk, though.
When do you expect to have the Ferris wheel up and running with lights turning around?
There's a number of factors. I'll just say this summer.
This summer?
Yeah, with this permit application, we'd be able to get the wheel in place this summer, assuming that there's no other hurdles discovered along the way. So, yeah.
Great, thank you.
Absolutely.
Blair, you and I had a chance to talk about this a little while ago,
Yes.
and I haven't read the detailed wording on the permit. Does it cover all the way up to the riverside?
It does. And so what we've done in this initial permit application is we've taken the contiguous land between the former downtown air park site and the riverfront projected straight north, more or less. And so I think, as you can see in the application, it really looks at the land between Douglas Avenue, or what would be the Douglas Avenue right-of-way in Western. And so it's that strip of land.
And we talked about trails, they're all in here.
Absolutely.
Are we going to try to start working on all of those at the same time? Do you expect to try to have that in place?
So we wrote not knowing what that timeline would be, we wrote the application that would allow us to put the improvements that are ultimately envisioned for the riverfront. Right now, we plan to utilize the same trail network that's in place, and everything that we've looked at would maintain those trail connections and only be looking to improve or enhance them. So we don't expect to in any way modify its current use, but we just look to add other uses that will be complementary to it.
Great, really exciting.
Thank you, Councilman.
So the current trail that's there now, will it remain as it is, or are you going to modify that at some point?
In the near term, we have no plans to modify the existing trail. And if we do get to a point where we see trail improvements that could be complementary to that, it'd be something that we'd bring back. I don't know what the exact process for that would be, but the short answer is that the trail will stay in place for the short term until a larger, more comprehensive vision for how those trails would integrate into the development comes back.
Are you going to create some way in and out for people to use this? This is going to be operational, I guess, long before you start building apartments, looks like.
Yeah. No, there will be an interesting dynamic there in that you'll have a plaza with the Ferris wheel in it that is not an urban plaza, as we obviously intend in the future, but is a plaza in the midst of a former air park. I mean, that's what we have. And so we'll provide access off of Western. Currently, the thought is that we'll utilize the existing curb cut and just simply provide guidance for traffic to get to here and park. In the future, we hope that this will be very much a destination that many people walk and bike to. I think in the near term, given our location and its relative isolated position, we expect that most of the traffic will arrive by car, so we'll have to be providing the parking for them.
So you're going to have some sort of concessions there, or are you just going to have a Ferris wheel sitting in the middle of a field?
We are looking to provide a number of refreshment options that would include food and beverage service and potentially beer and alcohol sales as well. This is going to be something that I think the layers of activity will be applied in time, and so the initial entry will be perhaps thin on the level of programming and related opportunities for sitting and enjoying yourself. Over time, though, we expect that each month that goes by, each year that goes by, we'll be able to add activity that's complementary and that continues to build up the place. And so we have to start somewhere. We got to We obviously have an ambitious vision that's laid out, but really trying to take a first step and get things moving, and then have plans to break ground on the rest of the related development farther south on the site in the short term as well.
Okay, this item is just to receive his report. We got the next item, we'll be discussing the revocable itself. So you got any other questions on his presentation? Take a motion to receive.
So move.
Cast your vote. It passes unanimously. The next item is to recommend to the council approval of the revocable permit with Humphrey Partners for Public Recreational Plaza as he's described. Now, there's a page that was in front of you that is amends what you got in the packet originally, and as I understand it, it only adds the words indemnify on the insurance section. Is that correct?
I believe it's section 10.
Yeah.
Right.
Originally, it said provide insurance coverage, and we're adding provide indemnification and the insurance coverage, and you're aware that that was put in?
Yes, sir.
Okay. What's happening here is we're kind of going out of the loop just a little bit. We're sending this on to council now for a timing issue, so we can get started on down there while the city and Humphreys works on the more detailed revocable permit. When that is finalized, it will go back to the use committee of the river. Chairman Kathy Williams is aware that we're passing this today, but it will be coming back to the use committee for them to review, and then it'll go back through the cycle again. It'll come to us and then on to council for a vote. Everybody understand?
I think the timing is really important. I can't tell you how many people I have asking me, we heard about this Ferris wheel. Is there some, where is it going and when is it going? And I think to have it up and lit, even if it's just up and lit, it becomes this incredible beacon on the south side of the river that, begins to change everybody's minds about what's likely to happen. So I would move approval of this.
Second. But I think you shouldn't light it till it's ready to go round.
Okay.
You don't want to call a crowd and have them disappointed.
We'll take that under advisement. Thank you.
Blair, do you have power? I mean, can we do food trucks and things?
Yes,
I'm sure you're thinking about all that.
we'll have power. And those are all, we have a team that's working on a range of issues, and, hopefully, I hesitate to give you a definitive date and then miss it, but just know it'll be in place this summer, and there will be food and beverage and an opportunity to ride a Ferris wheel on the south bank of the river this summer. So.
Any other questions?
Mr. Chairman, let me make one comment. Blair, although I don't anticipate any problems, I would encourage you to get whatever plans that you intend to develop, and maybe you already have them developed, to the Public Works Department as soon as you can.
Okay.
So if there's utility issues, then make sure there's no impact to the trails. And I don't anticipate this, but we need to make sure that there's not a Corps of Engineers issue with the location.
We'll do that, sir.
Please
Thank
get
you.
those over to Eric's office.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. The quicker you get that done, the less you might have to tear out if they turn you down.
That's certainly a priority. Thank you.
Any other questions? Cast your vote. It passes unanimously.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Item 6 is the claims docket. I have one question on it. We have a claim to the chamber for $590. What is that for? Do we know?
Pat, I'm not sure I know the answer to that. Do you?
Yes, that's our annual membership to the Oklahoma City Chamber. There's 3 memberships that the trust has maintained really for as long as I can remember, probably 20 years anyway. Greater Oklahoma City Chamber, South Oklahoma City Chamber, and Oklahoma City Beautiful. So this is one of those. It's a renewal.
So we're actually the Riverfront Redevelopment Authority is a member of the chamber?
Yes.
Okay.
Move approval of the claims.
Cast your vote. Passes unanimously. Item 7 is additional items. Any comments by staff? Pat, you have anything other than what's in your development report?
Well, the items in the report, one thing I wanted to make sure that everybody did note is there is a save the date in there for the
dedication ceremony for the CHK Central Boathouse. That's the University of Central Oklahoma Boathouse. Their varsity boathouse is well underway. The UCO folks have indicated that all of this body and a number of others with city government will be invited to share in that celebration. So I wanted to make sure that you did note it in your packet and maybe mark it down in your calendar to save the date. You'll be receiving a formal invitation here in the next couple of weeks. Otherwise, if there are questions, be happy to address them. Otherwise, would request that the report be received as submitted.
Second.
Any movement on the OU boathouse?
Have had conversations and correspondence back and forth actually within the last 10 days. Nothing definitive, but there is movement, so we'll see what happens.
Okay. Any further questions? Cast your vote. It passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Item 2 is to receive Parks and Recreation Department report and update by City Care on the things going on at Crystal Lake.
Larry Bross with City Care. Greg asked, I thought Greg was going to talk, but I've ridden my bicycle out the lake lately, and he hasn't. I haven't got a bicycle large enough for him. I just wanted to give an update on what's happened out at Crystal Lake and what's going to happen out at Crystal Lake. As you remember, the lake, along with Brian Maughan's help, was a dumping ground, and with the Shine Group, we were able to pick up a couple thousand tires, a hot tub, and several acres of trash out at the lake, and it's been going well. The dumping has almost 100% stopped out the lake. We've had no instances of the police having to go out there for any theft or vandalism. And so if you can just look through some of the pictures when it was still green out there. The lake has not lost a lot of water with the drought. We're very fortunate with that. We're very happy that it's holding its own. We've had several events last summer. One of the events, you see the tent put up right there, was for an outdoor expo to basically show the public the opportunities they have at this best-kept secret in Oklahoma City. Our archery course is, there's archeries in 400 schools in Oklahoma, and I really think there's a huge demand for outdoor archery, especially when it's in such a remote places where they can come out and shoot outdoors. This is our primitive area. We call this the primitive area where you can have, we have archery tournaments out there. It's hiking also, wildlife identification. These are some of our inner city kids. They're looking for some of the animals we had posted out there, and like a deer and a turkey. They had to find it, and then they had to write down what it was. This is one of the activities that we've had out there for our whiz kids. We take about 1,000 kids out there every summer, and it's called Spring Fling. The police helicopter comes out, Rumble comes out, and it's just a great time for these inner city kids to get out and have fun. They fish, they do archery, they hike, they have games, and that's how we found the lake, about 9 years ago, was with our Whiz Kids program. There was an event out there, an automobile show. I had no idea how big it was going to be, and it turned out to be pretty extensive. And so there is opportunity out there for events to be put on and held. Yeah, there's the campground. We call this the Horseshoe, but it's going to be called another name. We've already had a group of Boy Scouts that came out and camped. There's a lot of room for improvement out there where we can put trees and make that a nice place for camping to go along, that is supervised and understood the things we have to have for camping as far as numbers. This is the trail that's there now. They just paved it about a week ago. It's covered with snow right now. If you come in from and I have, from Overholster going south, the trail is about 95% paved, and it's going to be so cool. I rode my bike in there, and you can't go across all the way back to Crystal Lake yet because there's a couple of cuts that have to be bridged over. But they have a 7-foot black fence. It's very aesthetically pleasing against the, it goes against the industrial side of the trail. On the other side, it's river and trees, and it's just the openness. I did take one curve around, and there's a big pen out there right adjoining the trail, and there's a live buffalo and a live elk. It was really cool to see them out there on the trail, and it'll be a wonderful experience, I think, for people. But we have been approached by city planning to do a opening of the trail. When it happens out at Crystal Lake, when it's all completed from basically Overholster to Crystal Lake, which will go right on down to the river. And they want to do some kind of a ceremony out there, and we hope that we can, actually we brought up the idea of having a bunch of bicycle groups, which I know a bunch of those people would love to start at Overholster, ride the trail, and then have a celebration at Crystal Lake. So basically that's what we're waiting for, is the time for that opening and celebration. I love this picture right here, Greg. I want to make sure we get a blow-up of that, because the Wildlife Department has done a great job of keeping the lake stocked, and we appreciate the partnership that we have with Oklahoma City. Questions?
Very good. Any questions? Larry? Or Mike, I'm sorry.
Was the car show an annual event? Was that your first one?
It was our first one, and I can't answer that question. We don't know if they want to come back or not, or, if we can, but it was a lot bigger than I thought it would be.
Larry, I just can't believe these pictures. Having been one of those with other people here that walked around and helped pick up tires, it just is extraordinary, the work you've done out here. It's really a special treat for the city, and thank you.
Thank you, but it's been a community effort. That's what's been so good about it. It's been a community effort, and there's still so much potential to be achieved out there.
I do want to say thank you to Commissioner Mon. That SHINE program really jump-started the program, and it's just, that photograph tells it all, I think. It's amazing.
Thank you.
20 years of Whiz Kids, right?
20 years of Whiz Kids.
Wow.
This year.
I would imagine when the trail's finished, your notoriety will pick up, I would imagine. There'll be a lot of people riding that trail and realizing what's right there in the middle of it. So.
I think so. And I just think that we want to make sure that we keep the lake safe. And that I think that's going to happen, because people come out there now and said, I would never come out here before. I felt threatened, and now they come out with their kids, and they really enjoy going out and visiting the lake.
Any other questions? Bob?
I think this is just a testimonial to, I think, the faith that a lot of us had in this piece of property, because it was farther west, and I know that Ron and Gary, and we met out there early on when it was in real rough shape. And then, worked with Brian in getting it done. Now with the trail, I've been telling friends of 10th Street, and I told them 7 years ago that once that trail comes, it's going to be a whole new, it's going to have ripple effect back down to Friends of 10th Street, back down to the Overholster developments, back down to everything, and I think we're finally starting to see that. And I just encourage you to keep working with Parks and Recreation and all on this, because it's connecting the dots and making sure everybody stays informed, and we can stay proactive on all of that.
I think we're going to have a great relationship with Mr. New and excuse me, with the Parks Department. There's some things I've already talked about. We can use a little manicuring and just make it really nice. And so we're looking forward to that this next summer. So if you get a chance, come out and visit.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Okay. Motion to receive that report?
Second.
Cast your vote. Passed unanimously. Any comments by trustees? Any citizens wanting to be heard? All right. We are adjourned.